So I did my speech about HVAC, what is it and what it does. According to the article I cited on serviceexperts.com, HVAC is short for heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. Today I'll only be explaining how residential HVAC systems work, not commercial, just because it's a lot simpler and I don't have that much time. So first let's talk about the equipment that HVAC uses. So you have your outside condenser, which is what cools your house. Inside, typically you have a furnace, which produces heat from gas or propane. It burns it and the fumes are exhausted outside. With the AC comes a coil that sits on top of the furnace, and from the coil to the condenser is a line set that basically communicates both to each other. This is another quote I have. Your home's air conditioning system uses heat transfer in order to cool your home. In other words, the system takes the heat from the air inside your home and transfers it outside. That's a quotation from the website Climate Tech. The article is What Role Does the Condenser Play in HVAC? So basically, that's what I was just talking about, how those copper lines kind of communicate. It takes the hot air from inside, that coil transfers that heat outside, and the refrigerant, which is cool outside, brings that cold air inside. And then the blower motor on your furnace blows it through your central air system. This is a quotation from comfort.com. The article is called Furnace 101, How Furnaces Work. A forced air furnace heats your home through a heating cycle that looks like this. Number 1, natural gas or propane is ignited in the burner. Number 2, the flames heat up a metal heat exchanger and exhaust out the fuel. Number 3, the heat exchanger transfers its heat to the incoming air. So I was kind of talking about that briefly earlier too. That's really all a furnace does. It heats up metal inside. It has a fan that blows hot air through your house. The AC is a little more technical, but this is a good one. According to JewelMechanical.com in the article HVAC Coils 101, what are coils anyway? Depending on whether you have your AC or furnace engaged, the evaporator either pulls heat from the existing air to cool it or adds heat to the air to heat it. So that's kind of touching again on that whole heat transfer thing. But some other things that can come with a typical HVAC system are things like a humidifier, which adds hot water into the air, because in the winter time your skin will get very dry and a humidifier will stop all that from happening. There are other little things like air scrubbers, different styles thermostats, different pumps to get rid of the condensation. This is my final quote. It's from a book, Sheet Metal 3 National Center for Construction Education and Research, copywritten by NCCER, published by Pearson Education, Inc. As air moves through a duct, it rubs against the interior surface of the duct and slows it down because of friction. So that's kind of just one little thing I wanted to throw in there. Is that's probably the biggest issue with air, is that it does suffer friction. So there are little things we have to do inside a duct, like add turning vanes and dampers, and those sort of things will help minimize that friction. And with all that kind of working together, your system should be going pretty good. And this is basically a visual aid show it to the camera too, of how an HVAC system works. There's the outside condenser I was talking about. Copper lines run into that coil. Underneath the furnace with that fan that's gonna blow that air. If the AC is on, it's gonna cool that coil, and the furnace is still gonna be on, it's just not gonna produce heat, and that air is just gonna push through that cold coil. And if say it's winter time, this is just not gonna be on. And the igniters are right in here, and they're gonna fire up, and it's gonna push hot air. So it's a lot easier to show how it works than it is to explain it, so I think that visual aid helped a lot. That concludes my speech.